Pirate, fusing Senju Hashirama power to dominate. Episode 51. This results in a much reduced ability of the sand crocodile Clockdoll. In other words, the sand crocodile Clockdoll has eaten the fruit of the natural sand, and in the desert area it is like a fish, and now that the natural environment has changed, the natural sandy fruit will be affected a little. It's too weak. You can also be the king of the 7 martial seas. The navy really has no eyes. Luo Lei looked at the stiff-looking sand crocodile Crookdoll with a look of disdain and mockery on his face, and said, "Sand crocodile, Clockdoll. If you only have such a little strength, then get down on your knees and admit defeat as soon as possible." Arrogance. Sand crocodile Clockdoll was furious, and a crosscut scar on his cheek showed a very vicious look. Just kidding, he is a character who even dares to challenge Whitebeard, and he dares to shoot without hesitation in the face of the warring states. Although the Luo Lei of the pirate guerrilla in front of him, the means and abilities are very restrained to him, but he will not surrender easily. The surface cracks. Bang. Seeing the sand crocodile Crookdoll stirring the power of the rustling fruit, his right hand touched the ground and began to absorb the water of the ground and the surrounding towering trees. Nothing good to say. Isn't that just pretending? Who is afraid of whom? Since you can change the surrounding environment, then I can also change the environment, and let Lao Tzu turn into desertification. Unfortunately, the ideal is very full, the reality is very bone. Sand crocodile Clockdoll constantly urges the power of the sand fruit to turn this area into a desert, but somehow, the towering trees around him were actually resisting the power of his rustling fruit. This Nyama has some embarrassment. Desertification. To Lao Tzu desertification? Looking at the unresponsive ground, the sand crocodile Clockdolls look stiffened a little, especially sensing the idiot-like gaze of the civilians around him, and Zefa and the others on the moat. Sand crocodile Clockdoll's heart is broken. Wrong. It's really wronged. He also didn't know why the 100 trial and error move, the surface cracks, didn't work. However, the sand crocodile Clockdoll does not know that his vain attempt to use the power of the rustling fruit to fight against the wooden retreat is itself a pebble hitting the stone. This sand crocodile Clockdoll, there won't be a problem with your brain, will you? Oh, the power of the gods is also something he can shake? Forget it, let's back off and watch the play well. This sand crocodile Clockdoll will absolutely be destroyed by the gods. By this time, after the initial shock, some of the assembled civilians and guards had reacted and began to retreat in an orderly manner with an uproar. What to do? Seeing this scene, Desbonus looked a little ugly and whispered an inquiry. "We also retreat for the time being." Nicole Robin clenched her silver teeth, hesitating for a moment before she said in a deep voice, "Believe Lord Clockdoll." Desbonus, Paula, Von Clay, and others thought for a moment and slowly began to retreat. In particular, today is undoubtedly a day of bad luck for their Baroque work club. Just to come and see the liveliness, just to be caught. Sand crocodile Clockdoll, what else can you do but play a little clever? At this time, looking at the sand crocodile doing useless work, the corners of Luo Lei's mouth slightly cocked, and said softly, "I want to first capture Alabaston as a national hero, and then get the intelligence of the ancient weapon Pluto. And the ideal township battle plan formulated is also too low." How could it be? Why would you know the ideal township battle plan? There are inner ghosts. There are definitely ghosts inside. In the next instant, the sand crocodile Clockdoll's head turned, and a pair of eyes looked at the retreating Desbonus, Nicole Robin, Paula, Von Cree, and others. Laurel knew so well. The only explanation is that there is a ghost in the Baroque Work Society, thinking that they were meeting in the capital Albana, and it just so happened that the pirate guerrillas had arrived in the capital Albana. Thinking about it very carefully, this line was connected, there was a set, waiting for him to jump down. This feeling, perceiving the sand crocodile Clockdoll's undisguised icy killing intent, the bodies of Desbonus, Bora, Nicole Robin, Von Cree, and others all had some stiffness. They are very clear. Sand crocodile Clockdoll is moved to kill. Which of you betrayed me? After a few seconds, sand crocodile Clockdoll's icy voice rang out. As a sea thief of the rank of a tyrant, the sand crocodile Clockdoll has always trusted anyone. Even the Baroque Society was just a tool in his hand, and he always wanted to get one of the 3 ancient weapons, the Pluto, and then dominate the entire sea. Anyway, in a word, he could tolerate the failure of the ideal township battle plan, but he could not tolerate someone betraying him. Nothing. After these words, Desbonus, Bora, Nicole Robin, Von Clay, and others all had wisps of cold sweat on their foreheads, and even worse, their bodies had begun to tremble slightly. No, well, sand crocodile Clockdoll, against a character like you, I don't even bother to install inner ghosts. The next moment, just as the sand crocodile Clockdoll wanted to erupt, Lorelei's sarcastic voice sounded again, making the sand crocodile Clockdoll's look freeze again. Wrath, anger in my heart. As a sea thief, sand crocodile Clockdoll has not been despised from beginning to end as he is today, and even Whitebeard has not looked down on him so much. So, in an overwhelming rage, sand crocodile Clockdoll looked a little fierce, his heart was moved, his hands turned into 4 large sand blades, and stabbed at Luo Lei. Attack with sand, you are really looking for death. Luo Lei shook his head disapprovingly, prodded a part of chakra, and with a gentle pat of his hands, he performed ninjutsu, water pass, hard vortex water blade. Episode 52, water escape hard vortex water blade. Whoops, the voice just dropped. In Luo Lei's right hand, a high-pressure water gun that was constantly compressed and rotated appeared, and it was emitting a series of spinning roars that made people's scalps tingle. Water. Is this a water gun? Seeing this scene, the sand crocodile whose hands had turned into 4 large sand blades, Clockdoll's eyes widened, and his eyes were fixed on the hard vortex water blade released from Luo Lei's hand, really about to be spat out blood. Am I mistaken? As a natural sand fruit, his weakness is that his body will materialize when it touches water and blood, sand will clump when it touches liquid, and he will not be able to resist physical attacks. The constantly compressed water gun in front of him seemed to be a special tianka, and even if he looked at it, he had some palpitations. What is that? In the distance, Dar's Bonus, Nicole Robin, Bora, Von Clay, and others, who had retreated, also looked unconsciously frozen. This pirate guerrilla Luo Lei is also too terrible, right? With so much water gathered in my hand, it is still compressing and rotating. How terrifying would it be if it suddenly burst out? In addition to the wood, Rolly can control the water again. Above the moat, Zefa took out a cigar, took a sip of it, and muttered to himself, from now on, Lieutenant General Luo Lei will be the nemesis of the demon fruit ability. Yeah, Peach Rabbit's cheeks were filled with some numbness. What else can I say? After joining the pirate guerrilla force, she has become insensitive in the face of Lieutenant General Lore's magical performances, and there is still a gap between people and people. Lord Rowley, it's still as good as ever. Emperor Tong ate his lollipop, tiptoed his toes, and said disapprovingly, the sand crocodile, Clockdale is dead, and this trip to the kingdom of Alabaston can also be regarded as 3 eagles with 1 stone. Well, that's right. Both Ian and Vince looked approving. As for Neferutali Cobra, Neferutali Vivi, and the ministers of the kingdom of Alabaston could only smile and nod, not knowing what to do. At the same time, no, looking at the spiral high-pressure water gun that had been formed in Luo Lei's hand, the sand crocodile Clockdoll stopped his attack and turned into countless grains of sand, rolling up a sandstorm and retreating. He is not a fool, since he can't win the fight, then run, anyway, stay in the Green Mountains without worrying about firewood, don't you know? Facing the sand crocodile that wanted to escape, Clockdoll, Luo Lei smiled coldly, saw the domineering urge, and instantly locked the position of the sand crocodile, saying, you have been my prey all along. Swish, a cracking sound sounded. Lori had thrown the high-pressure water gun in his hand over. Boom. In the next instant, at a time when many people have not yet reacted, on the ground tens of meters ahead, a huge water spout suddenly formed, and the terrifying power directly exploded the air. And in a waterspout, the already decertified sand crocodile, Clockdoll, was quickly knocked back to its original form, emitting a scream of utter pain. Poof. It was the sound of blood spilling out. After a few seconds, in full view of everyone, only to see the sand crocodile, Clockdale, thrown out of the waterspout. He fell fiercely to the ground, constantly spitting out blood, staining the ground red. More importantly, at this time, the sand crocodile, Clockdoll's whole body is densely cut out of the wound by water, and the blood is constantly flowing, which makes people stunned. This is, phew, see this scene. Countless people at the scene were trembling, and they couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. Alright, despite knowing that Lieutenant General Rolly of the pirate guerrillas was strong, but a sand crocodile that kills one of the 7 martial seas under the king, Clockdoll, in a second, is still a bit incredible. The facts are in front of you and you have to believe. Oh, you have one last bit of use value. Looking at the sand crocodile, Clockdoll, who was paralyzed on the ground, Lore's right hand shook slightly, and a coffin-shaped wood emerged from the ground and loaded the sand crocodile, Clockdoll, into it. Bang! It was the sound of the body being put into a coffin, and until he entered the coffin, the sand crocodile with only half a life left, Clockdoll's eyes still had a look of disbelief in his eyes. He still has some wonders, why is this so? As a natural system sand fruit ability, how can it be so unbeaten? Thinking that he also laughed at Moonlight Moria, one of the 7 martial seas. Now, he had also followed in the footsteps of Moonlight Moria, and was carried in the hands of Lore, the pirate gorilla, and the dead could not die again. Pity. There is no regret medicine on the sea. After entering the coffin, a wave of energy enveloped him, causing him to fall into darkness, and his consciousness gradually shattered. At the same time, ding. President of the criminal group Baroque Work Society, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, the Russell fruit ability, Sand Crocodile, Crookdale, can be exchanged for 600,000 lottery points, whether the host is redeemed or not. Redeem it. Listen to the familiar sound of prompts in your head. Luo Lei's look remained unchanged, and he silently commanded, ding. The president of the criminal group Baroque Work Society, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, the sand fruit ability, Sand Crocodile, Clockdoll successfully recovered, and the host harvested 600,000 lottery points. There are now a total of 600,000 lottery points. Episode 53, ding. The president of the criminal group Baroque Work Society, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, the sand fruit ability, Sand Crocodile, Clockdoll successfully recovered, and the host harvested 600,000 lottery points. There are now a total of 600,000 lottery points. 600,000 lottery points arrived. Maze easy. Listen to the system's prompts. A faint smile appeared at the corner of Lore's mouth. The sand crocodile, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, can be regarded as realizing the last bit of value after his death, which is considered to be a waste utilization. In fact, until now, he had not thought of it. The sand crocodile, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, will appear in the capital of the kingdom of Alabastan and be captured by him. Come on, not as good as the coincidence. For the prey sent to the door, Luo Lei will not spare his men. Was even the sand crocodile killed? On the moat, a wisp of joy appeared in the eyes of the king, Neferutali Cobra, who was still struggling how to deal with the culprit of Clockdoll. The result? The pirate guerrilla's lore solves the problem for him, and the sand crocodile is dead and cannot die again. Father, this Lieutenant General Roly, too strong, right? Nearby, Neferutali Vivi's girlish heart was constantly trembling, and the gaze of looking at Lorelei was like looking at an idol, full of small stars. Girlish feelings are always poetry. At a time when the kingdom of Alabastan was in crisis, the one-piece gorilla's Luo Lei came like a god, and her mind had not calmed down until now. That's right, very strong. Neferutali Cobra's cheeks showed a look of relief, and he couldn't help but start to feel some faint pain in his heart. He still had a word to say. That is this time, he must be bleeding greatly. The treasure house of the kingdom of Alabastan must let Luo Lei go for a walk. As for how much is left, it depends on fate. Another dead 7 martial seas? Haha, can we go and clean up the mess again? Lieutenant General Roly, really powerful, terrifying. And not far away, members of the pirate guerrillas. I don't know what to say anymore. It is really to watch the drama. All have merit to hand, and now the sand crocodile, Clockdoll, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, has been killed, and when they go to clean up the mess, isn't the military merit coming again? At the same time, what to do? Lord Clockdoll is dead? How is this good? Even Lord Clockdoll was tortured to death. In the distance, Dars Bonus, Nicole Robin, Bora, Von Clay, and others suddenly turned pale after seeing Lord Crockdale put into a coffin. Special. Even Lord Clockdale was killed by the second. Do these remnants of the criminal group Baroque Work Society still have a chance to escape? Yet. It was at this time that Lore, who had not been moving at all, flashed his body in front of Darth Bonus, Nicole Robin, Bora, Von Clay, and others. O'Hara's demon, Nicole Robin. Airplanes. As soon as this sentence came out, Rao is Nicole Robin's unusually calm personality, and after hearing Lorelei say his name, he can't help but tremble a little. Eventually, I'm going to be caught. Or was caught by the pirate guerrillas. For a time, Nicole Robin's heart has some decadence, some relaxation, some indifference. She had thought of many scenes of being caught by the Navy, but she had not imagined that she would be caught in such a desperate situation. That's right, she's the Navy's most wanted demon of O'Hara, Nicole Robin. The next moment, Des Bonus, a senior agent of the Baroque Work Society, seemed to think of something, and said, Lord Lore, I actually thought about it for a long time. Poof, the words are not finished. Des Bonus's voice stopped abruptly. It turned out, somehow, that a branch had passed through his chest. Then, before he could react, the branch was inside him, beginning to take root and sprout, growing rapidly. After a scream, the muscular Darth Bonus was killed alive by the branches. Perhaps, until his death, he did not think that he just wanted to expose Nicole Robin, abandon the dark and cast the light. Why was he killed by Luo Lei? Clang, or the same scene as just now. Des Bonus was put in a wooden coffin. Ding. Senior agent of the criminal group Baroque Worker, Superman Quick Chop Fruit, Des Bonus can redeem 300,000 lottery points, whether the host redeems it or not. Redeem it. Ding. Senior agent of the crime syndicate Baroque Work Society, Superman Quick Chop Fruit, Des Bonus successfully recovered. The host harvested 300,000 lottery points. Now there are a total of 900,000 lottery points. Since so, the next moment, Rourlei's icy gaze unconsciously looked at Bora, Von Clay, Daltino, B.B., and other senior agents of the Baroque Work Society. Anyway, he had figured out the habits of the system. These high-level agents in front of them seem to be all demonic fruit ability, and once they are killed, they can redeem 300,000 lottery points, and they will not kill White or kill. No, I don't want to die yet. Yes, we run separately, we can't all die here. Go. Can run one counts as one. Facing Lore's icy gaze, Bora, Von Clay, Daltino, B.B., and other senior agents of the Baroque Work Society, their hearts trembled fiercely, as if they were facing some terrible demon. Especially after the lessons learned by the Sand Crocodile, Lord Clockdoll and Des Bonus, their minds have been somewhat broken, and they can only panic and want to escape. Swish. Swish. A series of cracking sounds rang out. Paula, Von Cray, Daltino, B.B., and other senior agents of the Baroque Work Society, in a panic, began to flee in all directions, and even flew towards some of the places where civilians gathered. Oh, why bother? Looking at these high-level agents of the Baroque Work Society who were fleeing quickly, Luo Lei shrugged helplessly. He is not a person who likes to kill, what to run. And seeing that Lori didn't make any moves, Bora, who had fled far away, Von Clay, Daltino, BB, and other senior agents of the Baroque Works Society were all overjoyed. Lorelei didn't chase after them, they seemed to have some safety. Unbridled, actually against the wind to commit crimes. Still want to run? Rumble. With a roar, it sounded. Before Paula could react, he felt a fist fall from the sky and bombard his chest fiercely. Poof. How can that be? Sensing that all his internal organs had been destroyed, Bora spat out a mouthful of blood, looked forward, and as a result, he saw Zefa, the former admiral of the Navy, with a cold face. Why? This was the last question in the mind of Senior Agent Bora. He dodged Lore, but he couldn't dodge Zefa's punch. Ah, damn, your speed, don't kill me. After Pola is killed by Zefa, the rest of the senior agents of the Baroque Society, such as Von Clay, Galtino, BB, etc., also heard screams in no particular order. As for the shots, impressively Peach Rabbit, Bins, Iane, Tong Di, and looking at the top level of the pirate guerrillas, if you don't shoot, you have been, and a shot is a second kill. The corners of the mouths of the kings on the moat, Nafarutali Cobra, Nafarutali Vivi, and others, twitched slightly. Sure enough, they are worthy of being pirate guerrillas, and the means of their hands are cruel, crisp and clean, and ruthless. Huh? See this scene. Luo Lei couldn't help but grin. He didn't shoot, he was killed by someone else, and the body can't be wasted. Bang. Bang. The next moment, wooden coffins emerged from the ground, packing up Bora, Von Clay, Galtino, BB, and other senior agents of the Baroque Works Society in no particular order. Subsequently, when others still felt that Lieutenant General Luo Lei's heart was kind and took the initiative to collect the body of the enemy, Luo Lei's mind sounded a series of system prompts. Ding. A senior agent of the criminal syndicate Baroque Works, Superman Thorn Fruit Pola can redeem 300,000 lottery points, whether the host redeems it or not. Ding. Senior agent of the crime syndicate Baroque Works Society, Superman Imitation Fruit Von Clay can redeem 300,000 lottery points, whether the host redeems it or not. Ding. Senior agent of the criminal group Baroque Works Society, Superman Wax Fruit Galdino can redeem 300,000 lottery points, whether the host redeems it or not. Episode 55. The end of the phone bug, that is, within the marshal's office at the highest level of the naval headquarters. Originally, Sengoku was drinking hot tea while handling documents, since the last time the pirate guerrillas killed Moonlight Moria, one of the 7 martial seas under the king. It had been a long time since he had been so relaxed. Unfortunately, he was happy too soon, after receiving a call from Peach Rabbit, especially after hearing that the sand crocodile Crookdal, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, had been killed again. Airplanes. In an instant, Sengoku only felt that his blood pressure was rising, and the buzzing sound of his head directly spat out the hot tea that had just been drunk into his mouth. What are you kidding? Only to kill one of the 7 martial seas under the king of Moonlight Moria. After more than a month, the pirate guerrillas arrived in the kingdom of Alabaston from the Devil's Triangle and killed a sand crocodile, Clockdoll, one of the 7 martial seas under the king? This is especially to take the world government's king under the 7 martial seas, as a cash machine? What are you pirate guerrillas trying to do? After a few seconds, Sengoku took a deep breath and couldn't help but growl. The sand crocodile of one of the 7 martial seas under the king, Clockdoll, is dead, and our navy is going to carry the pot again. Marshal of the warring states, we are reasonable to fight against the sea thieves. Tao Rabbit was not timid at all, and said in a righteous tone, in order to safeguard the justice of the navy and the interests of the world government, we are willing to fight the sea thief to the end. More importantly, we exposed the sand crocodile Clockdoll conspiracy in advance and maintained peace and stability in the kingdom of Alabaston. If there is a BGM, it is the light of the right path, shining on the cheek of the Peach Rabbit. Good. Very good. Hearing this, the teeth of the warring states were biting, and said, the pirate guerrillas killed the sand crocodile, Clockdoll, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, and I will publicize it well. Okay, purr. After saying this, Peach Rabbit simply hung up the phone worm neatly, leaving the Sengoku holding the phone worm, and it was a mess in the office. At the same time, what? Is Clockdoll, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, also dead? In the office, Carp was eating donuts, his lips suddenly froze, and Staff Officer Crane was pouring tea, and as a result, the tea had already spilled out of the cup. Obviously, the two did not think of it either. After the destruction of Moonlight Moria, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, even Clockdoll, one of the 7 martial seas under the king of Alabaston, suffered a terrible fate. Bang. The next moment, the warring states casually patted the table, and really couldn't help but rebuke. Our navy is going to wipe the pirate guerrilla ass again. The king under the 7 martial seas is also a legitimate sea thief recognized by the world government, and now it has been killed by the pirate guerrillas in succession. In the future, which sea thief will dare to accept our recruitment? It makes perfect sense. Ah. Ha ha ha, the voice has not fallen. Kapu only reacted and couldn't help but laugh loudly, saying, Sengoku, this pirate gorilla, still has a few brushes. You're still laughing. Sengoku snorted coldly and said somewhat solemnly, after killing Moonlight Moria and Sand Crocodile, Clockdoll, it is impossible for the pirate guerrillas to keep a low profile. I suspect that the world government may be sending CP0 to monitor the pirate guerrillas. When it comes to this, the warring states rarely showed a hint of helplessness. The rise of the pirate guerrillas was too fast, and he was a little caught off guard. In the past, the Navy was able to resist the pressure given by the world government, but now the Navy is afraid that it can't hold on, so the world government is likely to let the CP0 people monitor the pirate guerrillas. After all, whether it was Lieutenant General Luo Lei or Emperor Tong, the secrets hidden in his body were too greedy. If the world government does this, it will be a bit excessive. Kapu frowned, took a bite of his snack, and said, after all, the pirate guerrillas are subordinate to our Navy, and once the CP0 people participate, the nature changes. Let's wait and see. Staff Sergeant Crane's deep gaze flashed a ray of wisdom, and he said, no matter what, the pirate guerrillas are fighting pirates and safeguarding the justice of the Navy, and we must encourage them. The Sengoku marshal took a deep breath, nodded his head with a serious face, and said, I will have people spread the news that Clockdoll, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, is dead. If the reason is concerned, it is said that the strength of the sand crocodile, Clockdoll, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, is not worthy of sitting on the position of the 7 martial seas under the king. Listen to this sentence. A black line appeared on both the foreheads of both Cat and Staff Officer Crane. Nemas, this warring state, when it comes to blind talk, really doesn't even blink an eye. If even the strength of the sand crocodile, Clockdoll and Moonlight Moria is not enough, then there are only a few sea thieves who can sit on the throne of the 7 martial seas under the king. That afternoon, the Navy has released an update. The content is impressive. The sand crocodile, Clockdoll, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, was killed by Lieutenant General Lore, a pirate guerrilla, who exposed the conspiracy and trickery because of his vain attempt to overthrow the regime of the Kingdom of Alabastan. Airplanes. As soon as the news came out, the sea shook again. No one thought of that. It wasn't long before the sand crocodile Crocodile, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, was once again poisoned by the pirate guerrillas, along with the first 7 martial seas of the king, Moonlight Moria. Now there are 2 7 martial seas, dead at the hands of the pirate guerrillas. What is the third victim? For a time, this was the only thought in the minds of countless people. Pity. It was at this time that Morgans, the boss of the news of the world, published another message in the newspaper, with the headline of a godlike man who changed the kingdom of Alabastan with a show of hands and feet. Episode 56. Pity. It was at this time that Morgans, the boss of the news of the world, published another message in the newspaper, with the headline, God, like man who changed the kingdom of Alabastan with a show of hands and feet. As for the specific content of the newspaper, it is a strong point to illustrate that the pirate guerrilla Luo Lei used the wooden and water escapes to completely change the natural environment of the kingdom of Alabastan. 2 pictures were also published. One is the desert-strewn kingdom of Alabastan, the other is the tree-lined kingdom of Alabastan. Thundered. As soon as this newspaper came out, the shock caused by the shock was even more terrifying to countless people than the death of Clockdoll, one of the 7 martial seas under the king. No way. It's horrible. Under normal circumstances, the demon fruit ability is able to change the natural environment, powerful, and even can destroy the world. But like Roar, not only planted trees, but also changed the environment of the kingdom of Alabastan. It's simply breathtaking. So, in such a situation, above the sea, many countries with harsh environments have some fried pots, and deep in their hearts there is a wave of envy and hatred for the king of the kingdom of Alabastan, Nafirutali Cobra. Fools want to get it. Alabastan, a superpower in the first half of the Great Passage, may develop faster when its natural environment improves. What's more, I have begun to contact the Navy, and when the top brass of the Navy headquarters knew that the kings of various countries were asking Vice Admiral Roar to go to their countries to plant trees, they did not hesitate to scold the kings of those countries. Special, let the Vice Admiral of the Admiral go to the reforestation. I'm afraid I didn't have a brain problem to think about it. Of course, such as the world government, the 4 emperors, the remaining 7 martial seas, and some sea thieves, they paid attention to the pirate guerrillas. Nothing more than 3. The major powers are not fools and fools. After the destruction of Moonlight Moria and the sand crocodile, Clockdoll, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, everyone did not pay attention to the pirate guerrillas. After all, in the current situation, the rise of the pirate guerrillas has been unstoppable. Holy Land, Mary Joyce, Central Area, the office building of the world government, an office on the top floor. Lieutenant General Rowley of the pirate guerrilla changed the environment of the entire kingdom of Alabastan with one shot. Is ninjutsu so terrible? Incredible, really incredible. In a way, this Luo Lei is a Tianka demon fruit ability. Only to see the 5 old stars or standing, sitting, looking at the intelligence documents in their hands, and involuntarily issued a series of discussions. For them, in fact, there is not much to take the pirate guerrillas to heart. But after the death of Moonlight Moria and the sand crocodile Clockdoll, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, and especially after the environment of the kingdom of Alabastan has been completely changed, It is finally the 5 old stars who have some attention and amazement. Because, over time, the more they felt that the secret of Luo Lei's body was too heartwarming. Lord M said that the one who killed the sand crocodile, clock doll, was a kind of advanced water ninjutsu, and it was the wooden ninjutsu that changed the environment. Suddenly, it was at this time that, sitting in the middle, the 5 old star who had not spoken all along, and who had the highest status among the 5 old stars, finally opened his mouth with a serious look. What? Did the pirate gorillas alarm Lord M? Water and wood? How is it possible that Lord M actually spoke up? In the next instant, the other 5 old stars looked at each other, and the rare look of extreme shock in their eyes was obviously not expected. Lord M, who had been closed for hundreds of years, had actually made an unprecedented sound? That's right. On the face of the word, they are the supreme leader of the world government, the pillar of the world government. In fact, above them, there is also the leader of the Draco, the lord behind the world government, the master of the void throne, Lord M, who lives among the flowers in the deepest part of the ancient city of Maricoapan. Now, the pirate gorilla thing, actually alarmed Lord M, is simply incredible. Be aware, even the famous sea thief, Locks D. Gibber and One Piece Roger, none alarmed Lord M. Lord M, what do you mean? After a few seconds, one of the 5 old stars asked with some careful opening. Lord M means let's wait and see. The highest ranking of the 5 old stars said with a serious face, it is best to let the CP0 people include the pirate gorillas in the scope of surveillance. Lord M wants to see what Lieutenant General Rowley of the pirate gorilla wants to do, and where the upper limit of growth is. Quiet. A piece of dead silence. Suddenly, the other 5 old stars opened their mouths and wanted to say something, but in the end, they didn't say anything, since it was Lord M's meaning, then they could just go and carry it out. After all, even if they were given 10 guts, they would not dare to go against Lord M's will. So, were respectfully obedient. At the same time, relative to the shock of the 5 old stars, above the sea, whether it was the 4 emperors' pirate regiment, or the remaining 7 marshalseas under the king, the sea thieves on the sea, and some giants of the underground dark world, they all focused their eyes on the pirate gorillas. Make the whole sea a turmoil. The initiator of everything, Lore, was in a room in the palace of the capital of the kingdom of Alabaston. After all, after killing Clockdoll, one of the 7 marshalseas under the king, and destroying the criminal organization Baroque Work Society, Lore has gained up to 2.7 million lottery points. System, redeem me for a premium random draw. After a moment, Luo Lei took a deep breath, before silently commanding, ding. Spend 1 million draw points, a premium random draw redemption successfully, whether to use. After saying this, Luo Lei looked excitedly at the translucent turntable that only he could see, although it was the second premium random draw, but somehow, Luo Lei was still excited, fighting a bicycle to become a motorcycle, and the lottery could become stronger. Ding. Congratulations to the host, drew the character summoning card. Episode 57, ding. Congratulations to the host, drew the character summoning card, Naruto, in the Kiki Shishige. When he heard that the character summoning card was drawn, Luo Lei himself was stunned. He did not expect that his luck would be so good, and he drew a character summoning card. For now, in addition to his fused Thousand Hands, Interpillar character summoning card, he only drew a character summoning card of the Tong Emperor and Superman, and as a result, this time, the high-level lottery drew the character summoning card of Naruto, Kiki Shishige. If he remembered correctly, this Kiki Shishige, the elite Kamihito of Kiba Hidden Village, the Fire Nation of Naruto, the father of Kiki Kakashi, holds a chakra short knife that emits white light, and is known as the White Tooth of Kiba. Powerful. Its name resounded throughout the great nations. Even the legendary 3 ninjas had to pay tribute to him a few points. Pity. In the end, because he gave up his mission and chose to save his companions, he was blamed by the people of my village, and finally even the rescued companions accused him in turn, and finally could not stand the crowd's exclusion and chose to commit suicide. Ding. Host, do you use character summoning cards? The next moment, the system's mechanical prompt sounded again. Because Kiki Shuamao is the captain of the dark department of the log leaf, the host can use 1 million lottery points, together with Kiki Shuamao's men, to summon it together. Wait a minute. Summoning the Woodleaf Shadow? Bang. The previous sentence is nothing. The last sentence made Luo Lei's face look shocked, and he stood up fiercely. Draw the flag with Shuashigeru, even with the dark part can be summoned. This. It's like dozing off to deliver a pillow? Now the pirate guerrilla group is already famous and has been concerned by major forces, so that intelligence issues have become the top priority of the pirate guerrilla, though, Peach Rabbit can use some naval intelligence, but after all, it is the intelligence of the Navy, and it is better to rely on people than on yourself. This is one of the reasons why Lori left the freak Perona, the son of the devil, Nicole Robin, that is, to form the One Piece Gorilla's own intelligence organization. Now you don't have to worry about so much. Once Kiki Shashige and his men are summoned together, the intelligence organization of the pirate guerrilla group is basically formed, can be directly put into use. Jokes, the Dark Ministry, that is, the assassination tactics of the Special Forces is not a fuel-saving lamp. System, I agree to use 1 million lottery points to summon Kiki Shishige's men together. Ding. Spending 1,000,000 lottery points, the assassination tactics special unit was activated successfully. Crash! In the next instant, with a flash of white light, in Luo Lei's room, there were more than 60 ninjas wearing white masks that imitated animals, and if the room was not big enough, it might not have accommodated so many people. The captain of the assassination tactics special force, Shigeru Kiki, has seen Lord Rowley. After appearing, a middle-aged man wearing a wolf mask and carrying a short knife on his back, with long white hair, took a few steps forward and knelt on one knee in front of Luo Lei. And with the beginning of Kiki Shishige, the dark ninjas in the room kneel on one knee in no particular order. Good. Looking at the assassination tactics special forces in front of him, Luo Lei took a deep breath, and a flash of joy flashed in his eyes. Let's all get up. Yes. Kiki Shua Mao and the rest of the members of the Dark Ministry heard the words and stood up respectfully. Do you know where this place is? The next moment, Luo Lei seemed to think of something, and only then did he ask a question with a puzzled face. Where? Listening to this sentence, a confused look appeared on Kiki's cheeks. We don't know where we are, but he knew that he must absolutely obey Lord Lore's orders. Good. Lorelei clapped his hands happily. The system is really good, he wants such an effect. After Kiki Shishige understands the basic situation of the pirate world, it is time for the assassination tactics special forces to show their might. Good. You first go find a place to rest. Understood. Swish. Swish. With the sound of breaking the air, under the leadership of Kiki Shishige, the dark ninjas in the room all turned into a remnant and disappeared. This premium random draw was perfect. After the assassination tactics special forces left, a curvature appeared at the corner of Luo Lei's mouth, and he muttered, the intelligence matter is also solved, and you can take the pirate guerrillas to the second half of the Great Passage to play. System, open my properties panel, I'm going to take a look. Ding. The host's latest properties panel is being built. Ding. Properties panel generated complete. Host, lore, age, 16 years old, capabilities, Navy 6 style, proficient, see and smell color domineering, intermediate, armed color domineering, intermediate, overlord color domineering, intermediate, 1000-hand pillar template, unlock 63%, water escape, proficient, random draw, 0 times, lottery points, 700,000 points, subordinates, Emperor Tong, flag with white teeth, legion, assassination tactics special forces. Has it been unlocked to 63%? Roughly scanned his own attribute panel. When he saw that the template between the 1000 hands column was unlocked 63%, Luo Lei still couldn't help but shake his fist. Kung Fu pays off. It won't be long before the 1000 hands pillar template will be unlocked by him. Of course, compared with the past, the attribute panel, with one more subordinate and legion, is also a small update. System, I'm going to look at the information of the assassination tactics special forces. Legion name, assassination tactics special forces. Member level, endure among elites to endure on elites. Captain, Shigeru Kiki. Abilities, reconnoiter enemy intelligence, assassination, guards, etc. Number of people, 64 people, groups of 4, 16 groups in total. Episode 58. Yes, it can also be regarded as a solution to the urgent need. Looking at the information on the properties panel, Luo Lei nodded thoughtfully. Don't look at the assassination tactics of the special forces personnel, only 64, but in fact, each ninja is the elite of the elite, and once you join the pirate guerrilla, you can make a qualitative change in the strength of the pirate guerrilla. There are still 700,000 lottery points left, so there will be no lottery for the time being. After a few moments, Luo Lei smiled and stretched out. Now, everything is left to the east wind, and when the end of the kingdom of Alabastan is done, the pirate guerrillas can leave. As for what is the end of the work, of course Nefertali Cobra is going to get paid. Joke. Now Alabastan has been transformed. Even Clockdale, one of the 7 Marshalseas under the king, has been killed, and King Nefertali Cobra must have something to say, right? Following, a large parlor of the palace, King Nefertali Cobra entertained the top brass of the pirate guerrillas. Of course, there's a little vignette in this. That's when the white teeth of the flag would appear behind Luo Lei. Not only Zefa, but even Peach Rabbit, Bins, and Ein all changed their faces suddenly, and involuntarily entered a state of battle. There is no way. It is really the breath on the white teeth of Chimu that is too terrible, obviously standing there, but like a poisonous snake, it seems that it can launch a fatal blow to the enemy at any time. But when Luo Lei explained that Chimu Whitefang was his newly acquired subordinate, Zefa, Peach Rabbit, Bins, and Ein were involuntarily wide-eyed, and their cheeks were filled with a stunned look when they learned that Chimu Baifeng's men also had a special unit of assassination tactics. Zefa, Peach Rabbit, Bins, and Ein are already stiff-faced, speechless with brushes, and there is no fluctuation in their hearts, and even some want to smile bitterly. Especially, this Lieutenant General Lore. It's not a person. Among them, only Emperor Tong is a face of light clouds and light wind. Soon with the white teeth of the flagwood, the wine was cheerful. Don't look at Tong D is just a child of about 10 years old, but drink the wine, it is cup after cup, and finally, let the white teeth of the flag would can't help but call out to the insider. Lieutenant General Luo, thank you this time. After 3 rounds of drinking, King Nefertari Cobra raised his glass with a grateful look on his face and said, if it weren't for you, I might still be in the dark, and the kingdom of Alabastan would have been destroyed. After saying this, Nefertari Cobra took the glass and drank it all. To be fair, for the pirate guerrillas, he felt extremely lucky in addition to gratitude. If it weren't for the pirate guerrillas, the kingdom of Alabastan will not become what it is now. Luo Lei calmly picked up the wine glass and did not give Nefertari Cobra face, but also drank it cleanly. Vivi, maybe it's almost over. King Nefertari Cobra took a deep breath and nodded to Nefertari Vivi, who had never spoken behind him. Okay. Nefertari Vivi understood in an instant. Lift things up. Bang. 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 As soon as the order fell, I saw one soldier after another carrying boxes and placing them in a vacant lot in the center of the parlor. After a few minutes, 100 boxes were placed in the parlor. Fortunately, the living room is big enough, otherwise it really can't be placed. Finally, the soldiers opened the 100 boxes that had been brought in. Phew. And when all the boxes are opened, whether it was Zefa, Peach Rabbit, Iron, Bins, or Emperor Tong, Kiki Shuamao couldn't help but blink his eyes, and those ministers who attended the banquet couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. After all, can you imagine 100 chests, all filled with treasure and reflecting golden light? It's almost like brightening the eyes of a blind man. Therein the box in the middle, there are also 2 demon fruits with mysterious patterns. What a local tycoon. After a moment, Zefa couldn't help but sigh in amazement, and said, if not, it is worthy of the Nefertari clan, and it is generous when it comes to making a move. Yeah, the corners of Peach Rabbit's mouth twitched slightly, and he muttered to himself, so much treasure is enough to ensure that the pirate guerrillas will have no logistics in the next few years. Coupled with the treasure we snatched from the sand crocodile Clockdale, we pirate guerrillas have money in an instant. I nodded with an excited face. True as a big dog. As for lore, on the surface is very calm, but inside is a great contempt for Nefertari Cobra. Sure enough, it was worthy of the Draco family, and one shot was 100 chests of treasure, without even blinking an eye. A little careful, not a respect. Seeing everyone's shocked looks, Nefertari Cobra slowly got up and couldn't help but say, in the future, if the pirate guerrillas need anything, they can open their mouths to our kingdom of Alabastan. As long as I can do it, I have an unshirkable responsibility. That being said, can Nefertari Cobra's heart is also dripping blood. 100 chests of treasure, plus 2 demon fruits, but 25 of the wealth accumulated by the Nefertari clan. As for the treasury of the kingdom of Alabastan, he had not used. After all, he's not a dim-witted man. The treasury is the treasury, the Nefertari clan is the Nefertari family, and the basic accounts must be clearly distinguished. That's right. Nefertari Vivi also added with a look of excitement. Originally, she would have liked to join the pirate guerrillas, but considering the advanced age of her father, Nefertari Cobra, she could only stay in the kingdom of Alabastan and wait to inherit the throne. However, it did not affect her admiration and adoration of lore. Good. Luo Lei shrugged his shoulders indifferently, since the words were so clear. Then these treasures and demon fruits, of course, the pirate guerrillas were going to take it. Episode 59. Good. Luo Lei shrugged his shoulders indifferently, since the words were so clear. Then these treasures and demon fruits, of course, the pirate guerrillas were going to take it. So, the next thing is simple. In a burst of laughter, the banquet was also a happy end. King Nefertari Cobra was overwhelmed, and the pirate guerrillas were rewarded with great joy. That night, Rolly singled out Perona, Nicole Robin and Bannerwood Whitetooth. Lord Lore. Nicole Robin is calm on the surface, but when he spoke, he still couldn't help but ask cautiously, I don't know, did you summon me to come to me? Is there something wrong? Yes. Perona also bowed her head, and her face was full of palpitations. What else can I say? This strong and terrible man in front of you. But after killing Moonlight Moria and the sand crocodile, Clockdal, one of the 7 martial seas, if it weren't for the white teeth of the flag would wearing animal masks, Nicole Robin and Perona would have been tempted to be crooked. After all, on the big night, a man and 2 women, fools would know what would happen. You should all know about the intelligence network of Moonlight Moria and sand crocodile Clockdal. Lorico ignored Nicole Robin's stunned Perona and said in a deep voice, no. Perona was stunned before subconsciously replying, Moonlight Moria's intelligence network has always been under my control. I know that. Nicole Robin thought for a moment and nodded affirmatively. To the answer of the 2 women, Luo Lei did not show any surprised look. After all, Perona is one of the 3 weirdos under Moonlight Moria. As for Nicole Robin, who is the vice president of the secret criminal organization Baroque Work Society, the 2 women will certainly have access to some core secrets. Now that Moonlight Moria and Sand Crocodile, Clockdal, one of the 7 martial seas, are dead, the intelligence network has also contributed. From now on, they will be the people of the Dark Ministry, and let the Dark Ministry take control of the intelligence network of the Moonlight Pirates and the Baroque Work Society as soon as possible. Luo Lei's eyes turned to the white teeth of the flagwood wearing the mask. Understood. Chimubaya nodded respectfully. Even if you have only arrived in One Piece world, but After a day of adaptation, Chimubaya also knew the general situation of this world, especially after learning that the world government also has a so-called strongest spy organization, CP. Flag with white teeth rarely had some excitement up. Okay. Lori looked indifferent and didn't say anything more. Perona, Nicole Robin, do you know what to do? Got it, Lord Rawl. Got it, Lord Rawl. Perona and Nicole Robin were stunned at first, and did not seem to react, and then as if they thought of something, they couldn't help but look happy, where they did not know that they had been accepted by the pirate guerrillas. From now on, they have a good organization again. They're into. Nicole Robin was the most excited. I thought I would be caught by the Navy and put in a big prison to push into the city, and never be able to live forever. It's good now. After that, she was a pirate guerrilla and would never have to hide in Tibet again. As for the consequences of soliciting her, she didn't have to care. There were pirate guerrillas, and the Navy and the world government must have bothered the pirate guerrillas first. Go down. Looking at Perona and Nicole Robin, who were not very smart, Lori took a sip of the teacup on the table and gave a soft command. Swish. The voice has not fallen. As soon as the white teeth of Chimu flashed, they turned into remnants and disappeared. As for Perona and Nicole Robin's looks changed slightly. There were some gains and losses in their hearts, and they walked out of the room silently with their heads down. No way. The imagined thing didn't happen. The two women first doubted their charm. Could it be that they are not beautiful enough, or that Lieutenant General Luo Lei's requirements are too high? However, what Perona and Nicole Robin don't know is that, shortly after they left, Princess Nefertari Vivi sneaked into Lore's room. The next day, early in the morning, Lori looked at Princess Nefertari Vivi, who was sleeping next to her. He shook his head involuntarily. This was not his initiative. It was Princess Nefertari Vivi who voluntarily threw herself into her arms. Case. Luo Lei didn't bother to think about it so much. Oh, my charm that has nowhere to go. The next moment, Luo Lei sighed very narcissistically, and after a simple tidy up, he flashed his body and appeared in the living room. Looking around, in the living room, there were 30 boxes. That's right, this was what Rowley had sent to his room. Anyway, this time on Alabaston's trip, the pirate guerrillas gained a lot, and it was not too much for him to take some treasure. Not to mention, Zefa also said that he could give it all to him. In this regard, of course Lorelei refused. The pirate guerrilla is now developing at a high speed, and when it comes to the need for money, he can't be too selfish. System, how many lottery points can these treasures be redeemed? Ding. The host can redeem 3 million lottery points. Whether to redeem it. Listen to the system's prompts. Luo Lei's eyes couldn't help but appear a wisp of joy. Ding. 3 million lottery points were successfully redeemed, and then the original 700,000 evolution points. The host has a total of 3.7 million lottery points. Perfect. Become a local tycoon again. As soon as the system's prompt sounded, Luo Lei couldn't help but wave his fist. He had just consumed 2 million evolution points, and now he had 3.5 million lottery points, which was simply beautiful. Episode 60. Calm. After half a ring, Luo Lei calmed down from his excitement, and he did not intend to use the super random lottery system to draw the lottery, but instead stretched his loins and planned to cultivate. The plan of the day lies in the morning. For now, the Thousand Hands Pillar template has been unlocked by him 63%. He also had to grasp his cultivation and unlock more abilities in order to stand on top of the sea and lead the pirate guerrillas to go further. Don't look at now that the pirate guerrillas have killed Moonlight Moria and Sand Crocodile, Clockdoll, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, but in the eyes of the world government and the 4 emperors, the pirate guerrilla group is still a slightly more powerful ant. So, the revolution has not yet succeeded. He needs to redouble his efforts. When the time comes to explain the immortals and the immortal mode one day, when he fights with others, he can take the initiative to let the other party have a pair of hands. Anyway, there are thousands of hands, let dozens of pairs of hands, are irrelevant things. When I think about it, Lorelei glanced at Princess Nefertari Vivi, who was still asleep, smiled, and left the room in a flash of her body. A week later, within a training ground in the capital of the Kingdom of Alabaston. Ding. Congratulations to the host, completed the daily task, 10 hours of cultivation, bonus, 0.08% experience. Ding. Fusion of the Thousand Hands column template, unlocked to 65%. Yay, the chime just dropped. Luo Lei couldn't help but open his eyes. After a week of immersive cultivation, I finally unlocked the Thousand Hands pillar template to 65%, but there are still some things that are not easy. Ding. Congratulations to the host for unlocking the template between the 1,000 hand pillars to 65%, unlocking the 4 purple flame arrays, 4 red sun arrays, and 6 red sun arrays. Airplanes. In the next instant, information about the 4 purple flame arrays, the 4 red yang arrays, and the 6 red yang arrays of the bounded ninjutsu poured into Luo Lei's mind. Interesting. I don't know how long it took. Luo Lei slowly opened his eyes. He did not expect that after unlocking the template between the 1,000 hands and columns to 65%, he would actually unlock the 4 purple flame array, the 4 red yang array, and the 6 red yang array. Regarding the 4 purple yen array, the 4 red yang array, and the 6 red yang array, there is no need to say more, right? All 3 are enchantment ninjutsu. Among them, the 4 purple flame arrays need to be jointly cast by 4 people to be launched. In the four directions of east, west, south, and north, a cuboid junction of purple transparent flames is opened. There is a purple flame attached to the enchantment array, which cannot allow outsiders to enter the inside of the enchantment, and once it touches the four walls of the enchantment, it will be burned by the flames. And the four red sun arrays need to gather four top ninjas with a chakra level of Naruto, which is dozens of times stronger than the four purple flame arrays. As for the six red yang arrays, although they belong to the same level as the four red yang arrays, their scope and power were far greater than those of the four red yang arrays. Learn first, you should have a chance to use it later. Swish. Suddenly, at this time, with a cracking sound, only to see a masked member of the Dark Ministry appear on the training ground, kneel on one knee, and respectfully say, "Lord Lore, it's time for a meeting." Captain Flagwood seems to have made a major discovery. Luo Lei smiled lightly and nodded. Speaking of Chimu White Teeth, he also had to be convinced. Although it had only been less than a week, Chimu White Fang had already integrated the intelligence network of Moonlight Moria and Sand Crocodile Clockdale, one of the seven martial seas. Now the Assassination Tactics Special Force, the Dark Ministry, is up and running quickly after receiving the intelligence network of Moonlight Moria and Sand Crocodile Clockdale. In the words of Peach Rabbit, although it is not as good as the Navy's intelligence network, but according to this trend, in less than half a year at most, the intelligence network of the pirate guerrilla group can be completely formed. Half an hour later, inside a conference room inside the palace, Luo Lei, Zefa, Tong Di, Ein, Peach Rabbit, Bins, Chimu White Tooth have all gathered together. This was the first more formal meeting of the top brass of the pirate guerrillas after solving one of the seven martial seas of the King, Moonlight Moria, and Sand Crocodile Clockdale. Compared to the previous one, Zefa, Ein, Bins, Peach Rabbit's looks are all much more relaxed. As for Emperor Tong, the childish cheeks are still incomparably indifferent, and Mei Zizi is eating his own lollipop, and the Flagwood White Teeth, but he couldn't let go of wiping the black knife autumn water in his hand. Since the last time in the Devil's Triangle Sea, the Black Sword Autumn Water, one of the 21st workers of the Sword and Dragon Horse's Great Fast Sword, was in the bag. The Black Sword Autumn Water had not found a suitable owner, and it was placed in the warehouse of the pirate guerrilla. But a few days ago, after Chimubaya went to the warehouse, he accidentally found the black knife Chioshui, and he liked it so far. Alright. After a few moments, Lore, who was sitting in the middle, glanced around and said in a deep voice, "The meeting can begin. Let the white teeth of Chimu speak first." Hearing this, Zefa spat out a mouthful of white smoke, narrowed his eyes, and couldn't help but sigh. "I'm convinced. Where did you find these perverts?" Speaking of which, Zefa also thoughtfully glanced at Emperor Tong and Chimu White Fang. In just 1 week, the pirate guerrilla's intelligence network was formed, which simply subverted Zefa's cognition. Listen to this sentence. Peach Rabbit, Iane, and Benz all nodded in amazement, obviously horrified by the ability of Chimu's white teeth. "Do you want to do a big vote?" In the face of everyone's gaze, Chimubaya slowly lowered the black knife in his hand, and a cold color flashed in his eyes. According to the intelligence collected, the senior cadre of the Don Quixote family, Diamante and Drought Jack, one of the 3 plagues of the 100 Beasts pirate regiment, seemed to have come to a commercial island in the first half of the Great Passage. It seems to be for an ancient demon fruit.